Now, the first one, that is how much is the latitudinal or longitudinal extent of India we are having. As we have discussed already, means the longitudinal gap, or we can say latitudinal extent or longitudinal extent, how much we are having. So as I told you that we are having 30 degree, approximately 30 degree longitudinal extent as well as latitudinal extent. So next that question we are having. Okay, now just we have discussed that what separates India from Sri Lanka. So I have just discussed that Palk Strait and Gulf of Mannar basically separates Sri Lanka from India. So here we are having the question number, the question we are having, that is the what separates India from Sri Lanka. So answer is that we can say Gulf of Mannar and Palk Strait. So strait is basically who is separating two big water bodies through a narrow channel, that is basically in strait. Gulf, we can say that a large catchment area who is having small mouth, that is basically we used to call Gulf. So Gulf of Mannar and Palk Strait, they both used to separate Sri Lanka from India. Now next question that we are having, that what is the length of entire geographical coast of mainland plus the island. Means we can say that what is the total coastline of India including islands. So the total coastline of India, as I told you earlier, that is 7516.6 kilometers. So here we are having an approximate, so it is we can say that we are having 7517 kilometers is the main geographical coastline of India including islands. Next question which we are having, that is which countries are included in Indian subcontinent. So 5 countries are included in Indian subcontinent: Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh and India. These are the 5 important countries which are basically included in Indian subcontinent. So it includes the countries Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh and India. Now student, next question, why there is a time variation of 2 hours between the easternmost and westernmost part of the country? Now I told you when I've teach you that how we used to calculate the time of the country. So as I told you that from Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh, we are having the gap of approximately 30 longitudes. So longitudinal extent of India is basically starts from 68 degrees 7 minute eastern to 97 degree 25 minute eastern longitudes. So the difference between the longitudinal extent of the country from Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh, that is approximately 30 longitudes. So the earth is covering one longitude in 4 minutes. So how much earth will take to cover 30 longitudes? So 30 into 4 we'll do, then we'll find 120 minutes. So 120 minutes, when we'll convert 120 minutes into hours, means if we'll divide 120 minutes by 60, then we can say that 2 hours we used to found from 2 hours gap we used to found from easternmost to westernmost part of the country. So we can say that India is having too much, or we can say vast longitudinal extent. Due to that we are having this much difference in India. Right now, India's territorial limit means what extent we are having in the sea body. So India is basically, see students, in ocean body or in sea body, we always used to measure the distance in nautical miles. Right, so 1 nautical mile we used to call 1.852 kilometers. Right, so the means we are having territorial extent of our country, that is till 12 nautical miles in the Arabian Sea. Right, so 12 nautical mile means we can means calculate in kilometers, that 12 nautical mile, or you can call 21.9 kilometers approximately from the sea, we are having the territorial extent of our country in the sea body. Now difference between Gulf and Bay, I told you earlier that what is the difference between Gulf and Bay. So Gulf and Bay, basically we are having a main difference, that we can say that Gulf is not as enclosed by land masses as Gulf. bay is not enclosed by land masses as Gulf. So Gulf is basically the result of erosional activities, and Gulf can take any kind of shape like ovals, or we can say round shape, but bay is basically the result, or we can say it is basically the deposition of silt materials we used to found in the bay. So we can say, we can also differentiate one more point in between Gulf and bay, that Gulf is basically a large catchment area with small mouth, and bay is basically means small, bay is having small catchment area as compared to Gulf, but the mouth is broad, right? So this is the basic difference between Gulf and bay. Then we are having, what are the implications of India having long coastline? So as I told you, means we have discussed related to the size of the country. So we are having the total length, or we can say total coastline of the country we are having, that is 7,516.6 kilometers. So we can say that this much long coastline is having too much socio-economic significances, and through this much coastline we are easily doing trading activities, we are easily doing our means cultural exchange programs with the European countries, or we can say with the West and the countries of East Asia. So we can say that India is having too much important strategical central location, or we can say that India is having too much important location in the world. So just because of the long coastline, we are doing, or we have increased in these 7-8 decades, we have increased our international trade at huge level, right? So this is basically we can say that main importance related to the coastline. The next question, that what is the size of India with reference to the world, and name the countries larger in area than India, and explain the location of India on the globe. So we can say that size of India is basically, we can say the size of India according to area, that we used to call 3.28 million square kilometers, which accounts 2.4% of the world, right? And India is the 7th largest country in the world according to area, and it also constitutes 17% of the world population, and India is second large populous country in the world after China. And in area means several countries, they are means bigger than India, like Russia, China, Canada, Brazil and Australia. So these are 6 countries who are larger in area as compared to India. But India is having larger population, as according to these 6 countries, India is having large population from more than 5 countries. So after China, India is second most populous country in the world. And now if we talk about the latitudinal extent and longitudinal extent, the last point of this question. So latitudinal extent, as I told you earlier in the beginning, that latitudinal extent of India is basically, we used to call 8 degree 4 minute north to 37.6 degree north. This is the latitudinal extent of India. And according to the southernmost point of India, means earlier till 2004, the latitudinal extent of India was basically start from 6.4 degree north. But now we are having the latitudinal extent that is basically starting from the southern India, that is 8 degree 4 minute north. Now longitudinal extent of India, that is basically from Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh. So the westernmost longitude of India, that is 68 degrees 7 minutes eastern longitude, and the easternmost longitude of India that we are having, that is 97 degree 25 minutes eastern longitude. So this is basically, we used to call the we can say we used to call the easternmost longitude of the country. So this was all about. So now we have concluded this chapter with the question answers also. So thank you.